Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name's Deshaun and today I'm here to review Preacher Season 3. Now, Preacher Season 3 just ended last Saturday. And I have to say, just right off the bat, this is the best. This is tied with Season 2 for the best. I think a lot of people were disappointed in Season 1 because Season 1, from what I've been told, from what I've heard, and from what I've seen, wasn't a lot like the first. Was less of the Preacher comic book that people knew, because the Preacher comic book was a lot more like Season 2 and 3, and Season 1 was kind of like testing the waters for Seth Rogen and his crew to make sure there was an interest in this. They didn't want they wanted to kind of move at a slow pace. They wanted to kind of take it slow to let people know about this show. At least that's what I got out of Season 1. It was more of a slower pace to let people know. But anywho, Preacher Season 3 was great. I thought it was just as good as Season 1. I don't think it was better than Season 2. There are aspects of it that were, and there are aspects of it that weren't. I think one of the big spoiler alert. This is gonna be a spoiler-full review of Preacher. If you haven't seen it yet, then sorry, don't watch this episode. This is a Preacher Season 3 spoiler cast right here. So starting off, everyone lost something. As the 3 and something seems to be. I kind of made a comment before about it's kind of funny how all 3 of the Avengers movies, of the Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man movies, end with them losing the thing that made them them. Cap left his shield, Iron Man blew up his armors, and Thor lost his hammer. By the way, sorry for the noise. It's the AC. I usually try to cut it off. I usually cut it off for when I do my videos, so that way you don't hear it. But we got a new AC system, so I'm not sure how to cut this off. So for a couple videos, it's gonna be on. So sorry about the noise. I'll try to do better about that next time. But and in Preacher Season 3, he loses Genesis. Now, he doesn't lose Genesis because Genesis isn't inside of him. He loses the ability to use Genesis because the Grail has taken half of his soul. Now, I don't know if half of his soul is completely. The Grail has a chunk of his soul. I don't know if the Grail has his whole soul, but it definitely has a good chunk of his soul. And he can't use Genesis without it. And Star knew what he was doing. When he talked him into giving up half of his soul, because he knew once he took it, he can't use Genesis. He couldn't use Genesis anymore, and he'd have control of him. But yeah, and the last Season 2 ended on a terrible note. Tulip dies. She's shot by a Grail member, bleeds to death. Cassidy and Jesse are having a debate, or Cassidy wants to turn Tulip into a vampire to save her, and Jesse pretty much says, no, you can't do that, you'll make her a monster, which then kind of leaves Cassidy like, well, you think I'm a monster. So it ends with them having this drive to this area. Now, having the drive to this area, this farm looking like, this place called Angelville. And Angelville is mentioned in Season 2 multiple times. Multiple times, and from what you think, Angelville is this place where it has something to do with souls, and for some reason it has something to do with Jesse. Now you see flashbacks of Angelville in Season 2 of Jesse growing up on this farm and this elderly lady, but you never see that elderly lady's face, and you just see this young Jesse. He's miserable there, and you don't know what he does. You don't know what's up with this elderly lady. You don't know why these flashbacks are even relevant. And they show up, they sprinkle throughout, and it's clear to us that these people, that it is shown in Season 2 that these people from this Angelville place that Jesse's driving to now in current day, at the beginning of Season 3 and the end of Season 2, where Jesse's driving to this Angelville place, it's clear to the audience that these people not only kidnapped Jesse, they were the ones who put a bullet in the back of his father's head. They killed his father, and we have no clue what happened to his mom at this point, and we have no clue why Jesse's even going to this place. We have no clue why they even kidnapped him. Then we discover it. Like, it starts in season 1. 3 starts with them just drive. Episode 1 of season 3 starts with Jesse, Tulip's dead in the back seat. Cassidy is glaring at Jesse because there's this tension building up between Cassidy and Jesse because Cassidy is in love with Tulip, but Jesse's in love with Tulip. But Cassidy feels like he'd be better for Tulip than Jesse because he feels like his love is more. And there's this growing tension between those two. And then there's this elephant in the room that in season 1, Tulip and Cassidy had sex. And granted, it wasn't the most passionable sex. It wasn't like she was riding him or anything. In fact, it was less one of those passionable get back at Jesse kind of sex and one of those I just want to think about something else and sex is the best option and I like you, why not kind of things. Is more of what happened. But moving on a bit, of course, so like no one knows where this house is. They're back at this Angelville house. And the last time this Angelville farm, it looks like, it says Angelville. The last time you saw this farm, it was in a flashback where Jesse, as a child, probably about 16, snapped and like stomped out a chicken and killed it, but then felt bad about it, and then ran back to whoever this mysterious lady was to bring the chicken back to life. But then it flashes back to modern day while they're coming up to this place, and that same chicken is not only is alive and walking around. So something went down for that chicken. But moving on a bit, it turns out that these people who captured Jesse, these people who killed his father, was his family, because his grandmother is a witch. But in this world, witches can't use powers the same way they can in traditional. They have to use souls. And if you've been watching Preacher long enough, you realize that souls are actual physical organs in your body. They're tiny, they're really small, but they're really small and completely invisible to not only the naked eye, but to technology that's not designed, but to technology that's not designed to find them. It's completely invisible, but it's inside your body. It's this little glowing ball. That is your soul. And it does different, and it's not clear what it does, but it does different things to different people. It changes you in a way. You just become less of yourself, and you become less of yourself. And turns out his grandmother was running a soul gang. That's what Angelville is it's like, imagine a drug kingpin, only replace the drugs with souls. That's Angelville. And she's a big time drug kingpin, and you have no idea how old she is because she's absorbed so many souls, and that's how she stays alive. It's hinted very heavily through the season that she could be as old as she could be really old. She could be 1980 something old. She could be 1880s old. She could be that old. There's no telling how old she is. All we know is she was a witch. She was a witch. She was a good witch. She snapped over a man. I think she killed that man, and then she became who she is today. And needless to say, you discover everything. First of all, you find out what happened to Jesse's mother. You see that Jesse's mom was doing the exact same job Jesse was doing in the flashbacks. It turns out that Jesse was kind of the person to bring people in to Angelville to sell their souls. To sell their souls for her. And she'll do a favor for you for a price. For either for a price, which mostly was like a piece of your soul. But if you which I believe was just kind of a piece of your soul. I believed it was that. They never really clarified what she got in return, but they did clarify what she would take from you if you went back on your deal, if you didn't do your deal, and if you went back on your deal, if you didn't make your payments. So I think it's cash. It's definitely cash. If you didn't make your payments, she would suck your soul dry out of your body, leaving you a husk of a body. Actually, yeah, you do discover what happens without your soul. Cause Jesse lost a piece of his soul, and he was still Jesse. He's still mostly Jesse. You tell he was a little on edge. He was a little less himself, but he was still Jesse. You find out what happens when you completely lose your soul in this world. You become a husk of a person. You become a drooling, like shell, literally a drooling shell of a man of what you used to be. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's like, unless you gotta get your soul back. And then she just like, I don't know if you age or not, because they like push your body in this pen with like cows, and like they run this like fight ring underneath, like this fight ring in a barn where people like pay money to see people fight to the death, to see all these terrible people fight each other, and they get money. And like they have to make payments, and they make payments off of that, and people who fuck up on that, they take their souls. It's like this huge drug rain. But instead of drugs, it's souls. And his grandmother runs it. And it turns out what happened to Jesse's mom was she had gotten pregnant by his father. Had the child secretly, sent the child off to her with her father, with the father, so that, you know, so that they wouldn't know about it and do something to the kid. So that the kid wouldn't have to grow up in his life and nothing would happen to the man she loved who got her pregnant. Well, she tried to escape. She tried to escape. They didn't let her escape, and it sounded like they killed her pretty goddamn. Like, and it sounded like they hooked her up to the machine, and pumped out her soul too. And it's like, damn, she did that to her own daughter. And then she goes on, and his grandmother, the lady who plays Jesse's grandmother, is great. She plays this evil, just witch of a woman who you just hate her guts. She's just mean and sassy, and she's got that southern draw to it, so you got that extra bit of tanginess on when she's talking shit. She's got him by the balls. She just talking like she's crazy. She's certifiably crazy. Like, she'll say things like that she loves Jesse, that she loves her mom, but then in the same breath, 5 seconds later, I'll be like, I'll kill your ass though. And it's not like I'll kill your ass in a joking manner or in a, like, you know, play with words kind of manner. It's like she really will kill him. This is her grandson. She killed her own, you know, she killed her own daughter. Well, she didn't kill her own daughter, but she did worse. She sucked the soul out of her daughter, leaving her a complete husk of a person. Like, we don't know what happened after that. Maybe they, you know, maybe they buried her and just said, you know, well, she has a tombstone out there, so. But yeah, and Jesse's forced to come back to this lady, a lady he left a long time ago for obvious reasons, to ask her to bring Tulip back. Now, she ends up bringing Tulip back through a whole bunch of other bullshit shenanigans, but she ends up actually bringing Tulip back. And, like, it turns out that when you die in this world, you have, like, I don't know if it's, I can't remember if it said 24 hours or a few hours, depending on how strong your will is to live, where you're kind of stuck in purgatory till, I guess, they figure out where you should go. And, like, you relive an event. And it seems like a traumatic event. Like, you relive a traumatic event. Or at least you relive the traumatic events in the way that you see them over and over again until you come to terms with what happened. And then someone comes knock on your door. The Grim Reaper comes knocking on your door, or wherever you are, the Grim Reaper shows up. And you can either take their hand or not. But the situation will keep the situation will always make you want to take their hand unless someone goes in and gives you a key to come back. Now, I don't know if it works like this all the time, but it worked like this time. So Tulip comes back. She's okay. There wasn't any repercussions. She's not, like, weirding out. But there was one thing. God tried to tell Jesse something, but she didn't hit it before, you know, she got out. But skipping a little bit ahead, to get this deal done, Jesse had to sign a contract binding his soul to her. Which you know, basically means that she has total control over him. It was like this blood oath. It was like a blood debt. Because as it turns out, when you make those blood debts to her, which is what, you know, people do, not only will she drain out your soul, but you can't even attack her. Because if she rips that thing that you like bleed on a napkin or bleed on a piece of cloth, and she'll just rip it in half, and then you get ripped in half. Like, that's what happened. Like, this one, like, they showed a clip of, like, what happened to a guy who signed a blood oath with her on a cloth, and, like, he thought he was slick, and he ran up and took the cloth and was like, "We're free!" And he ripped the cloth in half, and it ripped his wife in half, and it was nuts. So you find out that those blood oaths are real, and she has total control over you. Like, you see her just squeeze it, and Jesse's just like, shit, like, It's a powerful bond. So Jesse is stuck. He can't kill her, who he wants to kill. He can't kill anyone. He can't do anything but work for Angelville. But there's another thing too. While Jesse's been gone from Angelville, apparently a rival, I guess gang. Let's just say gang, who deals in Souls 2, rose up and took over while Jesse was gone. Because without Jesse, they couldn't get people to come in. So basically, she forced Jesse to help her pick up Angelville again, pick up clientele, and meanwhile the Grail is going through a whole litany of shit because Star is trying his damnedest to try to get Jesse to come back and be the Messiah, because that stupid ass inbred Jesus Messiah that they've created is let's put it this way, the Grail really wants that guy to be the Messiah, but Star knows better, and he's like, this dude's stupid. We have to find a way to get Jesse to come back and be with us. So they're trying to work through that. Meanwhile, Cassidy and Jesse are still at it. In fact, in the beginning, Cassidy actually just straight up tells Jesse she was banging me, and Jesse doesn't mention that he told that that Cassidy told him that, but they're still got this tension going on. Tulip is still kind of messed up, but she's not as badly messed up. She's getting better. Bada bing, bada boom. Other things happen. Cassidy ends up getting discovered as a vampire by the shit. Wow, how did I forget? By Angelville and Jesse's grandmother. They try to kill him, but Jesse figures out a way to get Cassidy away. Even though Cassidy still hates him, Jesse still looks out for him and gets him out of there. Jesse gets him out of there. Then Cassidy has this side thing going on. I'll just stick on the Cassidy part to get that out the way. He has a side thing going on. He goes back to New Orleans. He's just sad. And he gets on this almost vampire Uber. Not vampire Uber. Vampire website to talk to chicks, I guess. It's a weird site. It's like freaking Tinder for vampires. But and he meets this one chick, and it seems like she's a vampire, but it turns out she was a fake vampire, and it really hurt Cassidy. He's like, I'm tired. People don't understand how hard it is to be a vampire. And eventually, he runs into another vampire in New Orleans. I can't remember his name, but he's like this traditional Dracula, dressed all to the nine, and a three-piece, dressed like he comes from a different time. Turns out, this vampire is 300 years old. If you don't know, Cassidy is 100... I think he's 170 something, if I recall. 160 or something like that. He said he's been a vampire for 89 years. So whatever he was before he became a vampire, plus that, which he looks like he's probably in his 40s, so he's about 104. So he's in his hundreds. He's in his early hundreds. So, but this guy's over 300 years old. And Cassidy meets this guy, and at first he's just he's a joke. He's a stereotype. He dresses like that. He talks with that accent and with that flair. He's just a stereotype. But then this dude can shapeshift. This dude can glamour people. This dude can jump off a bit. This dude can fly. This dude can do all kinds of. He's just scrape his enhance. This dude can do all kinds of shit. It's crazy what this dude can do. But and eventually Cassidy, feeling lonely because he feels like Jesse doesn't want him around, and Tulip chose to be with Jesse rather than be with him. It was a sad situation. And the thing is, what I love about Cassidy is he had early on in the season made a love potion to force Tulip to love him, but then he didn't use it because he realized it was wrong. And I love that. I thought he was going to do it, but he didn't, and I realized it was wrong, and I loved it. I love that. But bada bing, bada boom. Eventually, he joins this other vampire, and this other vampire has this weird, funny little cult, of people who love him. Turns out, and he falls in love with this vampire. They become gay lovers and become this loving couple. And I rooted for them. They're like, I needed someone to be who I can share my life with, who I can share my eternity with. Turns out that vampire Cassidy felt is insane. And he's been turning these kids, which a lot of them are kids, into vampires just so he can kill them to make himself powerfuler. It's how he's been able to do all the shit he's been able to do. Because in my mind, I was like, Well, why can't Cassidy do half of that shit? Cassidy doesn't have super strength. Cassidy can't fly or shapeshift or glamour people. So so how can he do all that shit like on a ridiculous scale? Like they show him glamour. He glamored a girl and her father into making out. Like he glamored the girl first, started making out, and then the father walked over and was like, "Hey, stop kissing my daughter." Then he glamored the father and started making out with him too. I was like, damn. Then he was just making out with the father and the daughter. That's how good he was. He could shapeshift into rats and shit. And I was just like, the fuck? Turns out, apparently in this world, if you drink vampire blood, another vampire drinking vampire blood makes you fucking powerful as shit. Makes you goddamn ridiculously powerful. Because he's so powerful that he like went through a car door and like rammed Cassidy against a wall and knocked him out like that. It was crazy how fast he did it. Yeah, man, it's scary. Eventually, Cassidy goes, "This shit's wrong. I'm gonna tell all your accolades that you're a liar." They get in a fight. He turns it around on Cassidy, obviously. Then Cassidy puts the whole roll up on his ass and proves that he's lying. Then everyone gets together and drains him up and starts drinking him and then kills him. That's how that story goes. And Cassidy kind of feels better about himself and he can't wait to see Tulip and Jesse again. On the Jesse front, the Grail is back, but this time the Grail's back trying to work it out with him. But this time Jesse kind of goes like he's kind of stuck in a conundrum with his grandmother, who wants Tulip dead because Tulip wants to kill her, and she just wants revenge on her. So she makes a deal with the devil. By the way, while all this main shit's going on, you got the Saint of Saint of Killers. Yeah, the Saint of Killers on a manhunt for Hitler and Eugene. Who Eugene's just like, "I'm happy to be out here," and he's like in an orphanage, and Hitler's running like a Starbucks-like place, being a complete dick. As it turns out, all that shit that Hitler was doing in hell when he was like trying to sound sympathetic, no, he's a dick. He's just a pussy who happens to be a dick. Like basically, like that whole thing about Hitler like starting World War II over a pastry and over bad luck and people being assholes to him. No, he was always that guy. He just never had the guts to be that guy until he was. Because it's shown throughout the season that Hitler's a complete asshole. Hell, the season ends with Hitler taking over hell. By the way, the season ends with the Saint of Killers killing the devil. Just popping a cap in his ass. His guns are so powerful, they can kill the devil. I mean, I knew they were powerful. Because first of all, no one can fire them. Second of all, when he shoots them, they explode, and the bullets never get... And like, because I remember Cassidy tried to like... One of the bullets got lodged into something, and it had been lodged there for a while, and Cassidy touched it, and it still was steaming hot. Like, it was like, damn, these bullets aren't normal. His guns aren't normal. I mean, this dude is on another level. I mean, Saint of Killers is so badass, he fucked up Azrael. Yeah, Azrael shows up, and she's this badass, like, mean chick who's like got this whip and she can just fuck people. She can block bullets with a whip. But when it's Saint of Hold up. Sorry, something's going on. Sorry. God damn it. Okay, back to it. When he shows up, he beats the fuck out of her. Like, it's a whole side story that ends with the Saint of Killers getting his guns back, the devil being dead, Hitler taking over hell, Eugene walking out with the Saint of Killers because they kind of have this weird bond going, and then both of them coming for Jesse. That's how their story ends. But on the Grail and Jesse, Tulip goes to Japan with that one chick with the broken nose to steal a shit ton of souls. And that, like, it's kind of like skip through. Like, you don't see it go down, really. You see a little bits and pieces of it, but that's what happens. She goes to Japan and goes rob one of the Grail's banks of souls, gets a shit ton of souls. Jesse, wow. Jesse has to go kill the head of the Grail. This huge, fat, sloppy, disgusting man who just eats and eats and throws up and eats and throws up, and he's just disgusting, and you wonder how he's not dead. He's so fat that his fat stopped a gunshot wound from going into his chest. That's how fat he is. Like, that's ridiculous. And they're trying to figure out a way to get Genesis out of Jesse to put it into their stupid ass Messiah, who they've cloned hundreds of times apparently for this occasion, for the occasion that this whole Genesis thing might not work, so they can just keep bringing more in until it works. Eventually, Jesse works his way around it, ends up killing the Messiah ends up killing the head of the Grail by launching his own soul into him, which has Genesis attached to it, and he blows up. Then eventually he ends up getting his whole soul. He ends up getting his whole soul back and getting Genesis back, which was a hallelujah moment because it had been so long since you see Genesis. He doesn't get Genesis back until the last episode, dudes. People, you never see it till the last episode. So it was a hallelujah moment when he finally got it back. I was happy. I was ecstatic. And then it goes from there. He kind of lets out all the Jesuses or whatever, out into the public eye. So there's a bunch of them just wandering around, and he leaves the Grail in ruins. Goes back, and he's on the warpath to kill his grandmother. He beats the shit out of that one guy. I can't remember his name, but he was just a super strong guy who always fucked him up. Who's the guy who shot his father, who always fucked him up and always said, "One day I'll beat you." And you knew he would. He beat the shit out of him. And then he beat the shit out. He beat him to death, and then he burnt that whole underground fight thing to the ground because he never liked it anyways. He never liked this life. He was forced into this. See, Jesse is a good man at his core, put in bad positions where he has to compromise and do bad shit. But he's not a bad man, and that's made very clear. Then he shows up in his grandmother's room and tells her to cancel the contract. She does that. Tells her to let such and such free, cancel Tulip's contract. She does that. Tells her to cancel all that shit. And then it turns out she had made a deal with the devil. Who is this weird guy with huge horns and kind of weird, but yeah, the devil's actually a thing in this show, an actual person who walks around and talks shit. She made a deal with the devil that if Jesse was to kill her, his soul would go to hell upon his death. Like, it would immediately. Which kind of lets you know that his soul wasn't going to go to hell. Jesse was going to go to heaven. Like, for that deal to be made. But the reason that, like, it's important that the devil get his soul is because Genesis is attached to it. So when Jesse dies, Genesis is not going to just jump out of his body. Genesis is going to get dragged down to hell. So, and then the devil would have that piece of equipment to use against, in the war against heaven. But at first Jesse was just gonna destroy her souls and leave her to rot, because she would eventually die without those souls anyways. And he told her to dump out all the souls. Then is this awesome badass moment where I felt it too. The anger built up in him while he's driving away, where the old him, he's like, I won. And the old him, like as a kid, looks at him and goes, doesn't feel like we won. And he looks around and he's just like, it sure the fuck doesn't. He drives back, scraps her ass up to that fucking thing that she scrapped his mom to and killed her, pumps that shit on. But usually they just pump it until the soul's gone and then you're just a husk. He left that shit on, so it's just pumping out more than the soul. It's pumping out bone marrow and her insides, and she's just becoming this like disgusting like husk of a person left. Like everything's even sucked out of her body, and he drives off, and he just feels so satisfied. And the show ends with Cassidy getting kidnapped by the Grail. Tulip getting another message by God, who is a person who looks just like you think God will, who looks like Santa Claus. God looks like Santa Claus, but he's wearing a Dalmatian sex slave suit on a Harley with random big booty, big titty biker chicks. I don't know. If you're religious, don't watch this. But, like, and he's God. At first I had my doubts. I was like, maybe he's not God. But then he, like, stops time. And I was like, yeah, he's God. He's God. Okay, he's stopping time and shit. Yeah, he's God. He's definitely God. And apparently he has this whole elaborate plan that we probably won't discover until, like, fucking season 5. So I'm not even worried about it yet. But, yeah, God's there. It's a little plot point that's dropped in there that's going to come back later down the line. But it is the girl kidnapping Cassidy and putting him inside this castle because Star is done playing with Jesse. There was a time where it was kind of like they were frenemies. Because this season, they were kind of frenemies. Enemies sometimes, friend other times. This was a commitment of war. Like, Star's like, I'm fucking done with Custer. I'm going to kill him. Fuck the Messiah thing. He's insulted me. I'm the next in line to run the grill anyways. Fuck him. kidnapped him, and like it ends with a long shot of them just in this castle full of helicopters and tanks and guards, and you're just like, how the fuck is Jesse gonna overcome this? So the show ends with Jesse and Tulip uniting finally after they spent a little bit of time away from each other. Cassie's kidnapped by the Grail, used as bait. The Saint of Killers is on the hunt for Jesse, which is gonna be something. Seems like on the hunt for Jesse with Eugene, who also has beef with Jesse, sending him to hell. Hitler is running hell now. Hitler's running hell. Angelville is destroyed, along with another major, soul company. And it is all-out war on the Grail. I can't wait for next season. This season was great. I give this season a 9. I thought it was fantastic. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you for joining me on the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe. Tell me what was your favorite episode. What was your favorite part? Who's your favorite character on Preacher? Comment below. Let me know. And I will see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.